It's not my primary concern. I'd rather have a fucking vape.
Oh yeah, I mean, vapes are like they're okay. I mean,
I pay.
not the kind that are flavored. I don't want anything flavored. I don't want it like laying
Yeah,
around on top of
that's the
me.
kryptonite right there is having it flavored because like I've got black cherry and the last one I had was punch. I actually like this black cherry a lot. And yeah, I'm the thing is you get more addicted to the taste. And it's like so I bought a pack of cigarettes just to have a pack of cigarettes because I like to have a cigarette every once in a while. But when I start thinking about having an actual cigarette, I think of I want to have this instead. And so and because I like the flavor more than everything else. So I'm learning to psychologically undo the ritualistic behavior behind smoking.
Spoken like a true heroin addict.
Yeah. I mean, hey, what is it? Harm reduction. I'm a big proponent of that.
Yeah, I mean,
When I was in Dallas, the first homeless shelter I was in, I ran across this dude. He's like, "Man, I love Bush." I'm like, "You're homeless. Why do you like Bush?" He's like, "Because he did the harm reduction. Because fucking now I'm inspired to do a little bit less fucking
well,
dope."
we are actually, and what's weird, I mean, it's kind of weird to me. I mean, we are approaching a time that human beings are going to treat other human beings for doing very common things like smoking and
Well, China's already done it. We're just following their model in a slower pace.
but
We're gonna have the same genocide.
yeah, well, I know, but I mean, it's getting now where they treat smoking like it's like, I mean, it's bad. Don't get me wrong, but if a person does it, I think they should have a choice. I'm from that school of people.
Yeah, you should see how hard it is to get cigarettes here in Georgetown. You can go to the gas stations and you're paying 15 to 17 bucks a pack.
Yeah, when
Whereas
you're paying that
if you
much,
wait to go to Safeway, you can get it for $10 a pack after tax.
when you're paying that much for it, they're criminalizing it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, they're putting it out of reach, but the thing is people still figure out how to fucking come up with the money.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
to the point where like I'm just I kind of wanted to take a slow day, but I'm gonna get myself a 200 pack or a 100 pack of fucking top papers and a Ziploc bag and just start fucking breaking down butts. That way, whenever I want a cigarette, I can just fucking roll one. It costs me two
Hey
dollars and
man,
25 cents for a fucking
maybe
carton.
that's the event.
What?
They're just gonna like, okay, we're gonna ban tobacco everywhere. I mean, we're gonna,
No.
yeah. I'm just now think about it. I mean, what? I mean, you think how many people would lose their freaking minds? Nicotine?
They're not gonna ban it. The stores are just gonna stop selling it.
What?
That's what's happening here.
Uh huh.
He just crashed the go-kart and broke his leg.
The bigger one.
The heavy-set young boy, the little one.
The little kid broke his leg.
He just into the car just now. Don't let him.
Hold on, man. I gotta go check something out. Hold on.
I think he broke his leg. That's what it said.
Okay, for those of you guys that don't know me, got me mid-toke. Oh, if you follow me on my channel, so you can find me under Friar Tuck, FRIAR, Friar Tuck. Yeah, I've coined the phrase because I am a huge Coca-Cola addict. I mean, I love Coca-Cola. When I was on the Buckeye Trail, I would somebody be like, "Hey, do you want something to drink? You want some cold water?" I'm like, "Yeah," or an ice cold Coke, and they would bring me an ice cold Coke, and I would fucking pop that top, and you could see the delight, the orgasmic pleasure that I was getting from that Coke, and I just sucked that whole thing down. Like I drink that can like you used to when you were a kid when you tried to have like belch the ABCs, and like people would look at me in a shocked way. I've actually been trying to get Coca-Cola to sponsor me, but it hasn't happened yet. But yeah, I've coined the term a Coke and a toke.
You can do like CM Punk did. He took and put the you know who CM Punk is?
No.
He's a wrestler. But he took and put the Pepsi logo. He tattooed the Pepsi logo on him when he was early, like really young when he was wrestling, and he expected because he done that, he expected that Pepsi should sponsor him, and it's been debated for years. But that's one of the reasons why. I think he's an idiot, but I mean, it is what it is.
Did it eventually happen? Did they
No,
do it?
no. I mean, he's been wrestling for like 30 years now, and he's yet to get an endorsement from Pepsi.
Well, yeah, they got free
and he has this big old he has this big old Pepsi tattoo on his. It's either right arm or left arm. Yeah, I don't know, but
I'm not a fan of Pepsi. It's too sweet for me. I like the cinnamon flavor from Coke.
Cinnamon flavor.
Yeah, that's the difference between Coke and Pepsi. Coke is sugar, or excuse me, Pepsi is sugar. It's more sweet, and Coke has more of a cinnamon taste to it, because that's part of their ingredients. Yeah, that's why I like it, because it's cinnamon, but it's just a hint of it. That's what kind of gives it that little fucking bite to it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Every time I start one of these shows, I feel like I'm opening it up in front of a court.
Ladies and gentlemen of the court.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen of the court. I always feel like I am.
The defendant is innocent of all charges.
Yeah, I swear I didn't do it.
My mama said so.
Yeah. Now, but we have been I have been talking about something called the event for a long time. And Tuck just started hearing me talk about it. And yeah, I believe that something is coming, and we may be partially here or getting ready to go into it. And the event, you might as well just say, is the bad stuff, all of the bad stuff.
A reason to be able to go into a bunker.
Yeah. Well, I got to answer a text message.
Okay, so to the audience, a quick question. What reasons would you, if you're a rich billionaire, what reasons would you need to go into a bunker? Everybody's going to say nuclear, but there's got to be other reasons outside of nuclear that would actually force them into a bunker before it escalated to that point. So my question to you is, and now if you've listened to somebody like Tim Bayou, oh fuck, I can't remember the name of his channel, Tom Bayou, but he talks about the next civil war being between the rich and the poor.
I mean, it could be, in a way. I mean, well, okay, you guys think about it. Hulk Hogan isn't coming back. He's dead, man. Anyway, he had a heart attack. At least you're saying he's like, never mind. I ain't even going there. Not with this one. But, it could be a war between the poor. I mean, it is a possibility.
Well, think of it this way. Look at what's happening to the homeless population. Now, we talked about the broad definition of homelessness versus what everybody considers homelessness. People don't consider you.
Well, I mean, we just consider really, when it boils down to it, we just consider that poor people, man. I mean,
yes,
that's the way we do it.
By definition of the government, because they are targeting homeless, and so there is a legal government definition of it.
I know.
And so that's what you got to abide by, not what society thinks. Just because you define and as and doesn't mean they define and as and. That's the difference.
But if you're having a war with these people, if it gets to the point where you're having a war with these people, and I don't see that actually even being close to what sets this off or starts that. That's just odd thinking, because it's not possible if not enough people to do it, like we were talking about before. Now, when it all happens, when everything already pops off and happens, then whoever's left are going to be the ones that you would consider the poor fighting the rich. You got to get there.
Well, hold on though. Think of it this way. Think of you've got not just the AI disruption, but the global conflict disruption, the supply chain disruption, the famines, the cross-border diseses.
I know, but you're still talking about things.
You're looking at 20 to 30% unemployment and about 10 to 15% homeless.
I know, which is part of whatever's happening. which is what,
that's critical mass.
yeah, but that doesn't mean everybody's going to jump up and go to war. I mean, that ain't going. No, you're not going to have. You're not going to have a revolution. You're not going to have anything like that. You're not going to have. No, it doesn't matter, because if you get to a certain point and you try to do what people in China have done to their government, and you try to actually go that far, like I said before, there are individuals that will stop them because it interferes with the way things are going.
Okay, you'll
have those places that you were talked about, those, things you might as well say are prisons and everything else, and all the other 100,000 prisons that they have set up and turned old Walmarts into and everything else. Those are going to be full of everybody who's part of this thing. This is going to be their re-education camp.
Yes, but here's the okay. Let's just say we have back-to-back civil wars. Right now, we're in a political civil war, and at this point in time, this is when the general public is going to see. Okay, we want to get rid of the homeless. We trust that our government is going to be humane, and there becomes it might even be a propaganda conflict where you have people like me that are showing what's really going on, and then you've got the government saying, "Look at all these people we help, and they love it."
I know, but like I said, it really, in the end, it doesn't matter what we do, and we're not going to change anything. Everyone still has in grasp on the hope that they can change something. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You're going to reach that singularity. You're going to reach that point where something's going to happen. People are going to behave certain ways. And I mean, like I said, you have more and more of these teen things. They keep popping up, getting stronger and harder. I mean, you got running through cities. I mean, there's other stuff that's going on that's creating this point that we're headed to. Something's pushing us there, and something's going to trigger all this. That's going to be the event.
I think that it's all the loss of opportunity, and then just the full on just dehumanizing anybody who is not like them. And this is what the Republican right. This is why they fucking always they get into power and then they lose it because they do this shit. And they've kind of gone to the extreme right like we went to the extreme left. But here's the thing. It's a pendulum. We go from one extreme to the other. We just came from the extreme of liberal. Now we're going to the extreme of conservatism.
Yeah, and if
you got 15% unemployment, you got critical mass.
I know, but I don't buy that is the reason what's going to happen. I mean, why would we need to go over and beg China? Why would we need to go over and do all these other things?
Because
it doesn't matter. It absolutely not. I mean, the thing about it is, if these people were to act like this, if these people were to get on a war footing, all right, here's what's going to happen. You're going to have a bunch of Marines that's going to take them down, just like they did in California, just like they did in every other place.
Yeah,
I mean, and I don't care what any group says or anyone says, you're not going to win against them. You're not going to win against the government.
Of course not. But here's the thing. What the government does to squash the rebellion will be so heinous that it will cause people to fucking say, you know what? This is out of control. And they will say, we are done and move to actually dismantle this government. There will be a movement out of the original movement. The rebels will lose the first one.
No.
But then out of the second one,
No, we at that point with all the securities and everything, all the infrastructure that's in place, all of the shady groups and organizations and everything else, that's when they all come together. That's when they activate. That's when they take over, and that's when they start running stuff. You don't get another chance.
I think the elites actually are so confident right now that they can take over the world completely because of the success behind COVID and how they were able to do their disinformation and the Twitter files and all of that bullshit. Okay, they had all that stuff come out. It showed exactly how much control the government was trying to take over our information. Now, these guys are so confident that they are planning on winning and thinking that it will all stay together. But just like in any totalitarian government, it can only reach so far before the people say, "Fuck it."
But I think this. I mean, you're and then plus now you're talking about bits and pieces. You're not talking about every country. You're not talking about when the event itself.
Well, this is happening across the whole West.
Yeah, but that isn't the event. There's no way that's the event, because the event is a global phenomenon. It affects everyone, every single thing at the same time.
If
Now,
you have an economic collapse,
no,
to where
everyone,
you
but yeah,
enslave your
but
people,
then you have other countries that are still shored up by their activities. I mean, Poland can last the next 20 years without being touched. I mean, there's other countries that are set up and strategically done the same way, and there's no way that you will have a total and complete fall in everyone and everything. You know, I just don't see that. It's
I
just
think
I
that's what
can't
they're
comprehend it.
fighting for. Is the everything bubble, but not just economics, but government and societal as well. Because we have gotten so far off track that we think that men can have babies and that you are something that you're not. I'm sorry you're in the wrong body, but it doesn't give you the right to modify it. It's the body you were given.
I think all of that is
Learn to,
static.
huh?
I think all of that is static.
Yes, but these are all the things that are converging because you have people in the queer community
No, I
or
know.
the
And we can.
transgender
I
community that
mean,
are convinced that everybody's out to get them,
but like I
and
said,
then they
you know,
get
it doesn't
hostile
matter.
towards anybody that
You're,
they don't like.
I mean, once again, we're talking. We're talking off because we're already here. We're already at it. It doesn't matter what people do now. It doesn't matter what people have done. We are already at the event, and there's no turning back.
Yes, and the thing is society's collapsing. I mean, society as a whole, we are so torn apart and diversified that there is no such thing as unity, and we're all going to be fighting amongst each other because it's self-preservation through competitive advantage. And if your group wins, then you get the competitive advantage. So therefore, it creates. This is why the whole VA thing is the way. I mean, there's a competitive advantage and a self-preservation aspect to fighting for VA benefits and to stand by it because you stand to have a gain above the average man because of what you did. And so, yes, you are entitled to it, but what they're doing is they're leveraging that and understanding human psychology so that they can create all these diverse groups. You're this group, and you're this marginalized group, and you're this marginalized, and they've marginalized us so much that we're all just imploding, and we're just going to the fucking extreme because we're all just fed up and we don't even want to talk anymore.
Yeah, I mean that's static. That's the stuff they. You're getting. I mean, you can see it now. I mean, I'm trying to walk you through it, and I can see it now. You're confused by the stuff they are dangling in front of you. You're confused by the little things that they're doing. Like this group has more. That group doesn't. The whole country, the whole world is like that. And that is the stuff they are dangling. That's the static. You got to look through that static and see what is the perpetual cause of all this.
Okay, the Weimar Republic led to the rise of Hitler, but how many people know the story about how the Weimar Republic?
We're gonna get into that later. Wait, that's in the later part of this.
Well, the thing is it was something very small. It was it was large, but it was small. It was the taking away of the epicenters of commercial activity and forcing them to pay a debt that they had no money to pay. That was how Hitler was able to rise to be the power he was.
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, we talked about this the other day. I mean, and the whole thing, the reason that Hitler was able to come into power was because, they were the loudest and strongest in the rooms at the time. What was going on in Germany didn't have anything to do with laws, didn't have anything to do with anything else. There was this financial crash. They were doing fine. Their money at that time looked just like ours. I mean, literally, absolutely, 100%, which is fucking weird, but it doesn't even matter about this. But the thing is, you had people doing prostitution to feed their kids, and their kids doing prostitution to feed their parents. I mean, it was a horrible place. And I mean, I know. I mean,
do you know
I got letters from them.
Was,
huh?
Do you know who the snitch in the room was, though?
I mean,
See, the thing is the Americans were the ones that told the rest of the world that they were just printing their way out of debt, which is what caused the rest of the world to back out and fucking basically overnight their fucking whole currency collapsed. If the Americans would have kept their mouth shut, it would have been fine. It was
well, and there
outdated.
you are. You have someone that says whatever, and people say that about us. And if we get to that point, that other countries have gotten to, then someone's probably not going to step in.
Well, we've been downgraded already.
Yeah, but once you downgrade somebody, you turn into that kind of thing. Once your people get to a point where they demand you to change, that's when you become Nazis. That's when you become a driving force that is trying to feed their own and trying to get through there and do these things.
And how is this war on the poor not bad? Because you could say at first they came after the immigrants with ICE, which I completely agree with. But at first that's who they came with because there was special support. Now the next thing they're coming after is the homeless, and then the next people they come after are the poor, because they keep building a case that these are useless eaters, and we need to lock them up because they're just a drain on society.
I mean, but do you say that everybody on those systems and things are not useless eaters?
I believe that there are some people. I'm conflicted on it because I see like a lot of these people that are getting like this whole housing shit. These are people that fucking got mush brain that got way too fried, and now they're just gonna sit in an apartment and vegetate for the rest of their fucking life. Kind of like Muhammad Ali after he got punched in the head too many times.
I mean,
But the thing is like, what about the people that can be productive and give back to society as far as the tax base? Those are the people that aren't getting the housing. It's all the mush brains that are getting the housing. Because you got to go into a rehab program to get housing. You got to go into a mental health program to get housing. And if you ain't got a need to go into either one of them, well, you're just fucked.
The only way and the only reason the government should ever take care of you as a citizen, the only reason, not for any other thing, is if by fault of their own they have harmed you. That is the only. I don't care about this other stuff. I don't care. I mean, this is the only moral and ethical argument for anything. Now, there are a lot of things, and a lot of people get when they come across and do other things. There's a lot of things they get that is not fall in that moral category.
I think I disagree with you, because it boils down to climate change policy and the fact that the government. Okay, so in the and I've read this. There's a 3-volume encyclopedia if you want to read it yourself. But I've read how Global 2000 got instituted, like the whole political history. I mean, they had to put a lot of shit in there. It's a huge ass fucking book. All right, it's one of the few books that I've read that I like. It was probably the most fascinating. But here's the thing: after the Paley report, and they introduced Global 2000 during the Kennedy administration, people like Nixon decided to pick it up, and they told the American people that, hey, look, we have a population problem, and we need to start fixing it. Well, the American people actually did respond, and we started lowering our birth rate. But then at the same time, the government figured, oh, well, we're so much smarter, and all these climate change activists came in, and Nixon almost lost re-election because, or he believed that he almost lost re-election because of these Greenpeacer motherfuckers, because they were the ones that brought contraceptions and education into the classroom, and that was like the first step. They have done the public policy has been designed to destroy the family. When you destroy the family, what you do is you set a child up for failure. And through government policy,
I know.
Therefore,
Hold on a minute. I got an important question. How was you raised? How was your? Now you ain't got to go. I know you don't want to go into some stuff, but I mean, were you basically a nuclear family, or was you one of the other ones?
I had a combination of all of it. I got to be poor. I got to be middle class.
No. That's not nuclear family.
Hold on. No. Yes, because the thing is I was partially raised by my grandparents who had wealth. My dad, being in the military, was middle class. My mom, because she was a black sheep, was dirt ass poor, and we lived in my grandfather's apartments. Okay, so like, but my parents hated each other so much that when they looked at me, they saw the other, and so they took that fucking shit out on me. So I didn't have the physical abuse. I had all the other shit that fucking happened. There was a small little period of time where I had to deal with the physical abuse, and that was my mom's second husband. But past that, it was never really an issue. It
Well,
was all
no,
the
no,
other
no.
stuff that they
The
did.
nuclear family, and what I'm trying to drive here, you went another way with it.
Sorry.
That is had nothing to do with this.
Oh,
The nuclear family is what your basic family element. You know, were you raised by your mom, your father, and you know
I
you
was
and your
raised by
kids,
my mom for
or
a little while, and then my
if now
grandparents, and then my dad.
that's a different kind of model. And these different models kind of basically indicate who you will basically turn out to be.
I turned
It,
out more like my grandparents.
well, I did too, now I wasn't officially a nuclear family, but I was kind of like half in the middle. It's kind of a weird situation. I mean, my whole family was there for most of my years. I mean, my grandma, my great grandma, my grandfather, um, my uncle, my other grandfather, my mom, my cousin. Fuck y'all, I don't know. Maybe we were gypsies and I didn't know about it. But I mean, the whole thing is that we were all together, so we had this weird
See,
view about everything.
my grandma was basically the one that raised most of us grandkids because our parents were shitbags. So she took care of me and my cousin Sam and a couple other of my cousins. Like at most points, she had like an 8 bedroom house and had 11 to 20 people in there at all times.
I mean, if you were to either go join a cult, or if you were to wake up tomorrow and the apocalypse has happened and you're in uh, a camp full of people, you know, like a community that's doing things, that's kind of the place that I come from. So I mean, you have, and that is that, you know, once we get to the event and everything that happens and everything, you're going to have people like that. You're going to have communities that have developed and gathered in together. You're going to have preppers and stuff like that, and these individuals will basically have a very, very different outlook on the world. And
See, I come from a different line of thinking. I'm always mobile, but I know how to socialize well enough and to assimilate and conduct myself. I mean, that's why I am who I am, is because I had some positive influences along the way.
you know,
Um,
we kind of mobile, or we're mobile to
Areas
survive.
and regions, you know.
No. We are mobile to the point of survival. So like we move, we'll move to a point where we can, that is acceptable for us and to survive. And
And see, I would be the type of guy that would make connections along the way because I'm a nomad, because I'd be able to connect with those groups and say, hey, can I travel along and pull my weight? And I wouldn't have a problem because of my nomadic nature. It allows me to cross multiple communities and blend in wherever I need to.
well, okay. On that, let's talk about somebody that was making connections. There's a photograph, May 13th, 2026, Belgium, Capital International Airport, tarmac. The President of the United States descends the stairs of the Air Force One. Standing at the bottom waiting is a brass band, flag wavers, and the Vice President of China. And right there, 2 steps behind them, are 3 of the wealthiest and most strategic, significant private citizens on Earth. Elon Musk, Jensen Huang, and Tim Cook. The man who owns satellites, the man who makes the chips that are very significant to AI systems on Earth that runs it. The man whose company manufactures 80% of its product inside the country he just flew into. That's the photograph. And for the past hour, since me and Tuck talked, I have been staring at it. Now, I want to be careful about how I frame this, because I'm not interested in an easy version of the story. The easy version, rich guys followed the president to make deals. That's true. That's also the surface. What I'm interested in is what the photograph tells us about the architects of power in 2026. Because in that photograph, the line between government and personal interest has not blurred. It has been abolished. The man who controls the communications infrastructure of the U.S. military that depends on it in active conflict zones, Starlink, has been the backbone of the Ukrainian battlefield communications. It has been used in operations across the Middle East. The man is on the tarmac, privately, as a guest. Not as a contractor, not in an official capacity, as a friend of the president who owns satellites. I'm not making an accusation. I am describing what is visible in a public photograph taken by a wire service and published internationally. What I want you to sit with is the question of what it means, structurally, historical, what an instrument of state power and the instrument of private technology power arrive at a foreign capital in the same aircraft. What meeting is that? What are the rules of that meeting? Who does each person in that photograph serve? Now, every official diplomatic meeting produces what they call a readout, a summary of what has been discussed. It's usually released by both sides, usually with slight differences in the emphasis of them. You know, the readout is for your people, and this is what you use to fluff them with. The official readout for the Beijing summit said the two leaders discussed trade, tariffs, fentanyl, and farm products. Yeah, no, farm products. And Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, in Taiwan. For some reason, that word was really hard to say tonight. I don't know why.
You notice Trump has changed his tune on Taiwan too, and kind of started bowing to the Chinese in his rhetoric.
I think both of them have.
Well, once Trump capitulated, then they kind of the Chinese are like that. They'll reciprocate, but whoever fucking caves first is a loser. And Trump caved first.
Taiwan has grown in GDP. It has become a massive economic machine. I can understand why China would want it, but it would have to take it, and it wouldn't get the machine. I don't know. But I know one of the people there was just in Taiwan. And they just had this thing where they were talking about all of these, and behind him, there was this massive screen that showed all of these companies that were part of it. All part of Taiwan. And everybody was giddy about the new stuff that was coming out, and the new AI laptops, and the new AI chips, and how good NVIDIA is doing. So something is definitely up. They're not going to let them take Taiwan, especially, yeah. No, I mean, we need them for AI. They agreed to establish what is called a constrictive or constructive relation of strategic stability. Strategic stability. That phase, well, it has a meaning. It has a meaning in diplomatic language. It means we are not currently trying to destroy each other. It means there are rules, even if unwritten. It means we have communicated enough to know where the lines are. Back in the Cold War days, we had a phone. The Soviets would call us and tell us we're about to cross the line. We would call the Soviets and tell them we're about to cross the line. So nobody nuked each other. Now, it's a precise one. It's a phrase you use when you've been close enough to the edge that you want to establish on record that you saw the edge. Now, the readout did not mention Elon Musk. The readout did not mention Jensen Huang. The readout did not mention what the three of the most strategic, significant private citizens of the world discussed with their Chinese counterparts in the hours before, during, and after the summit. Because readouts don't cover that. Because there is no official record of their conversations. Because those conversations, legally, never happened. Now, I'm going to tell you something that's irrelevant. It's called the Logan Act. The Logan Act was passed in 1799. It prohibits unauthorized private citizens from negotiating with foreign governments in disputes involving the United States. It has been used for prosecution exactly 0 times in its 227-year history. It is mentioned here, not as a legal argument, but as a marker. The fact that this law exists against private citizens conducting shadowy diplomacy is that it is universally ignored. Tells you something about how power actually operates versus how it is described. I want to read you something, and this is from the Reuters report, published right after the summit, citing an unnamed source familiar with the discussions. I am paraphrasing rather than quoting directly, but in the substance it is, NVIDIA held separate discussions with Chinese technology officials about semiconductor corporational framework, and that specific content of those discussions have not been disclosed to the press pool traveling with the delegation. Semiconductor corporation frameworks between the man who makes the chips and the government that has been cut off from his chips. In Beijing, during a presidential summit, not disclosed, I don't know what was said in that room. Nobody outside that room does, and I think that's the point. Now, Chuck, what do you think China asked for?
China wants. Okay, so you've got BRICS, and from what I've heard from the international people that talk about international money, they want to be able to remain to keep their competitive advantage without being priced out of the market. And they're willing to buy U.S. bonds if the United States kind of allows them to keep doing what they're doing in a lot of ways. Because they don't want to be Japan, and that's what happened during the Plaza Accords. And so the whole rumor is that China approached Trump a while ago and said, we want to do this. And this is them meeting to finalize what China approached to do, which was to avoid the catastrophe of Japan.
Well, now here is what the official discussion is saying. And this is, well, let me tell you how to think about what China has asked for. China's leadership does not make impulsive requests. The Chinese Communist Party operates on a timeline that makes American electoral cycles look like impulse purchases. They think in decades, and in some cases, centuries. When they sit across an American president, they have already decided months or years in advance what they want from that meeting. Not just the tactical ask, the tariff adjustments, the trade language, but the strategic ask. The things they're willing to be patient about. The things they've been waiting for. Not the things they'll stop. So what does China actually want? Not this week, structurally or historically. Uh-oh. You should be able to hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, someone said they didn't hear anything. I don't know. Anyway.
Turn
Taiwan.
up your volume, turn off the mute.
Yeah. I don't know.
Turn off closed captions.
Yes, I mean, I don't know. Anyway. Other people are. I mean, maybe it's just a thing. It might be jumping back and forth. I don't know. I mean, there could be some issues with, transmission, but I don't know.
Maybe it's a troll.
Yeah. No, it's somebody, no, I think, for sure. Taiwan, always Taiwan. Not necessarily the invasion. The former reunification is less important to Beijing than isolation. What China...
So Taiwan is less important than isolation?
Yeah, they'd rather leave it alone. What China wants is the United States to slowly, quietly stop treating Taiwan as a de facto security partner. No more arms sales, no more high-level visits, not announced, just stopped. A slow withdrawal of implicit guarantee. That's worth more than any trade deal to China.
Yeah, because it weakens Taiwan.
Yeah.
And then they capitulate.
The chip ceiling lifted. China has been building its own semiconductor industry aggressively. But the export controls on the most advanced chip, the NVIDIA H100s, the cutting-edge architectures, have generally set them back. What they want is
I
not...
think that might be propaganda.
I don't know. I mean, they're definitely, there's a bunch of stuff going on, like them going back deals to get the chips and stuff. I mean, I actually sit here and watched and tracked down that stuff.
Yeah, but China's been able to do it cheaper with less energy and more efficiently.
Well, no, they're doing they're doing part of it. They're not doing. They don't have our advances. They have their own advances. They don't have our advances. Our advances, while we may not be as far in certain ways, our chips are better than theirs. Definitely. We have more advances. We have the ability to make them smaller. That's what matters. The smaller you can make a chip, the more semiconductors and transformers you can put on it. China has not been able to master that yet. They've sent people over and tried to copy and steal the machines that make the silicone wafers. They can't do it. They keep messing up. Plus, the only place in the world that has 99.9% pure silicone is in Tennessee.
Really?
Yes. Without Tennessee, there would be no electronic parts here. There would be none anywhere. That is the one thing. If everything was to go all to hell and back and everything else, that is the one thing. And no one has been able to figure out how to friggin' purify silicone. The person that figures out how to purify silicone to that percentage would be the richest person on the planet. I know how that sounds. How
Overnight.
to purify? Overnight. How to purify friggin' sand, man. But they want that chip sealed and lifted because, well, the chips come from here. Those chips are made here, and it's made on that silicone. Now,
So they want our silicone in exchange for their rare earths.
Yeah.
So they cornered the market on one to have a negotiating tool on another.
Yeah, but see, we're like slowly picking it back up. I mean, we found another lithium reserve and everything else.
Yeah, but we will never be able to get to.
No.
You realize how
and I
toxic
mean,
that
I'm
shit
going.
is?
I'm literally going into that this next paragraph.
Okay, go for it.
I mean, rare earths as leverage converted to rare earths as a partnership. That's what they want. They want to stop using rare earths as a leverage, and they want to convert it, the rare earths, as a partnership. Now, let me explain. China controls the processing of materials that everything runs on. EV batteries, weapons guidance, systems, wind turbines, the magnets in every motor in every device you own. They've been using restriction as a weapon. What they would prefer is to convert that weapon into a permanent dependency. A formal arrangement where American industry relies on Chinese supply chains in the ways that makes confrontation economically catastrophic for America, not a threat or relationship. And those are things. Now, China wants one of the hardest things to give them. And sadly, it's what probably each one of us want at some point in our lives. China wants recognition. And this is the hardest one to quantify for us. China wants the United States to behave as though the world has two poles, not one. One pole here and one pole in China. To stop describing the international order as rule-based, which is diplomatic language for America designed, and to start negotiating a generally multipolar framework. That's not a trade item. It's a civilization negotiation. And it requires someone on the American side to acknowledge in a room that the American century is over. The last one. That's the conversation that would never make the readout, because whoever said it out loud on the American side would be destroyed politically. But the logic of the room requires it to be true, and both sides know it. Now, either China wanted us to fold and take a knee, or we want China to fold and take a knee. Now, let's go back to the satellite man. Now, as I was typing this up and working on it, and the event goes into other things that surround this, and it kind of just like falls in. It's like there's this road. And by the way, I'll let Tuck pick the topics tonight. You can blame him. Anyway, I keep coming back to Musk, Elon Musk. Not because of who he is personally, but because of what he controls. Starlink is currently the largest satellite constellation in history. Somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 active satellites in low Earth orbit, providing internet connectivity across the planet, including in active war zones, including in areas that have no other connectivity that exists. I mean, you can stand in Antarctica and jump on Starlink. That's wild. Or the Amazon, or the tropics. I mean, there's places, I don't know, it's just wild. Starlink is wild. The United States military has used
Starlink is
Starlink.
kind of wild.
Huh?
I said Starlink is kind of wild. I really wish that they would finally come out with the Starlink phones.
I think it's coming out, but they knew that they didn't want to do it.
They
They didn't want to do it yet
years.
because, like, right, and that's the reason why Trump and Musk and all this, they're on my radar because, like, Elon was talking about making a phone and putting the phone out. He had the design, he had everything else. He had people pumped and primed for it, and
Trade war messed him up, I think.
No, Apple called him in. And they did partnerships when it comes to the thing, because I mean he had a lot going on his plate, and I think they made a deal. They had to make a deal.
Apple makes the parts, he puts his brand on it.
Yeah. I think they made the deal, and let him slowly introduce it, because it would have killed that market. I mean, it would have decimated the cell phone market. Everybody would have Starlink. I mean, Starlink would become more popular than it is now. That's just.
Yeah, I mean, they have the mobile adapter and stuff now, I think. But like, I would love to get something like that. If I can get like fucking, But from what I understand, it's only for emergency services and stuff.
Well, that
Some
one is.
people
We talked about
use
it. I mean, it's on my phone. I mean, I can turn it on. It's on my
Yeah,
phone.
the newer phones you can do more with. Apparently, mine you can too, but I haven't really talked to them about it, and it's a pain in the ass to call up Verizon anyways because it's under my old man.
Well, I mean, I don't think I'd do it. I mean, unless you had to. I mean, just check it.
Well, no, my phone's supposed to have the capability,
Yeah, it
so
has
I don't
capability.
even need to upgrade.
But we go back to this. This guy is super smart and does a lot of crazy shit. And I mean, of course, Starlink is not his only thing, but it's kind of where we are, and the other one. But the United States military has started to use Starlink in a operational context. They use it in Ukraine. Ukraine has used Starlink. It's flying the drones and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, without it, they wouldn't. I mean, it's literally providing GPS coordinates and stuff like that, and data and lock data, and I don't know. It's wild. That's wild. See those systems
But
go.
he got slammed pretty hard when he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar.
I know,
So I'm just-
but he's still doing it. He made enough money, and it's fine. I mean, it is. But anyway, you make it, they'll use it, and you get rich.
Well,
Yeah.
he just went hush hush with it because there was a lot of public outcry against it.
Well, the government made him go hush hush. I don't. I mean,
Yeah, they already had him under contract.
Regardless of what Musk has acted like, when the Biden time and Trump and Trump this time, and anytime Musk has been there, he's always worked regardless with the government. He's always, I mean, whatever he says or whatever he may have an opinion about, it's an opinion, but he's always worked with the government. He's always worked in to do what they want him to do eventually. I mean, Biden wanted him to do certain things, he did it. I mean, that's the reason Ukraine got Starlink. And then and a lot of other stuff too. And I mean, he works in partnership. He is if anyone is the master of the deal, it's this man right here, because he has been able to make deals out the kazoo. And I mean, I don't know.
From one, if the thing I sent you earlier today, the guy was talking about, people come here to DC for their government contracts, and once they get government money, because government money pays so much better, and corporate money, they get all fucking snooty. So, I mean, Elon Musk, he came here for money and he got it.
Yeah, maybe. Marty already has it. But I'm just saying is, he shows up there, he has this system. This is a system that China does want. And you have one private individual making decisions about communication coverage in active military operations. This is not a contractor relationship. This is not a vendor relationship. This is someone the English language does not have a precise word for. I know you. Okay.
Oh,
Let's talk. Let's talk about
an
orbital.
oligarch,
No.
a warlord.
Well, we'll get there. Maybe. Orbital dominance. Let's talk about that for a minute. Low Earth orbit. It's in the big big wheelchair.
Thank you.
Okay. A low Earth orbit has become in the past decade strategically contested terrain. The ability to deny, degrade, and manipulate satellite communications is now a core military capability. China has an active anti-satellite weapons program. They demonstrate a direct ascent capability, ASAT, in 2007. And have continued developing more sophisticated approaches. In this context, the operator of the world's largest satellite constellation is not a tech entrepreneur. He is a geopolitical actor with assets in space. What does China say to the satellite man? What does the satellite man say back? What does a private individual owe to the country whose flags is on his rockets when he is sitting in a room in Beijing? What does he owe to a company whose government paid to develop the technologies his company are built on? What does he owe to the Ukrainians whose communications run through his hardware? This is not a rhetorical question. These are actual questions that were present in that room. Or rather, anyone said them or not. There's a document I want to point you to. The U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission publishes an annual report to Congress. It's public, it's detailed, and it's extremely dry. It contains, buried in the appendixes, some of the most alarming assessments of the United States strategic vulnerability that has ever existed in any public document. Is that plane?
Yeah.
Okay. I was having a flashback, man. I was having a flashback of the times you were in the beside the trains and stuff. It sounded like a freaking train, man. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
no,
Yeah.
that's just the I don't know. For some reason, this is a fucking loud city. I'm surprised I haven't fucking flipped out because of how loud it is here.
Oh, it'll bug me. It'll bug me. All right.
Yeah, I can't deal with the loud, but you know what? I've been tolerating it.
Okay. Now the report, the 2024 report specifically, flags the risk of private space infrastructure. Operates where business interests in China may conflict with the U.S. national security interests in a contested scenario. They don't name anybody. They don't have to. There's only one person that paragraph is about, and that person was on that tarmac. China was seriously, and has been, and still is, seriously worried about Elon Musk. Now, the chip in the country. Jason Hong was born in Taiwan. I say that not as a biography, but as context. Because the most important semiconductor company on earth is run by a man born in the country that is most likely a flashpoint for the next great power conflict. And that company products are at the center of the technological competition between two countries that would fight that conflict. The geometry of this is almost too neat. It would be rejected as too on the nose in a thriller, a book, or a movie NVIDIA makes the GPU chips that AI runs on. Not some AI, all AI. The training infrastructure for every language model, every serious computer vision system, every autonomous weapon guidance system that makes or matters, it runs on NVIDIA hardware. The missiles that the United States fires runs on NVIDIA hardware, NVIDIA GPUs. The same GPUs you use to play games. The same GPUs that you use on your phone. The U.S. government has since 2022 progressively restricted the export of advanced NVIDIA chips to China. Not because of trade policy. Because the National Security Council concluded that allowing China to develop AI capabilities at the frontier level was a direct threat to America or American strategic advantage. NVIDIA's owner has publicly disagreed with this policy, politely, professionally, but clearly. His argument is that the restrictions don't work, that China will develop its own chips, that the restrictions hurt NVIDIA's revenue without achieving their strategic goal. That engagement is more effective than embargo. Now, there's something I want to add that I didn't write down. NVIDIA makes more than any company in the world, 10 times over, more than any other country has ever, more than any other company has ever made. They make more money than most countries. And every country wants them. Their chips are like a virus. You must adopt them. You must bring them in, and you must use them. It feels weird when you make them look alive. Now, what's NVIDIA's bottom line? What benefits them? That's also an argument he is making, presumably in the rooms of Beijing. I am not suggesting he is disloyal. I am noting that he is a private citizen operating a private company whose strategic interests in the largest potential customer market in the world are in direct tension with the national security policy of the company, of the country where his company is headquartered. And he was in that room. And we don't know what he said. And the export controls have, since the summit, been subject to what officials are describing as a review. Draw your own conclusions. I'll draw mine. Now, the next one is Iran, the Strait of Hormuz. What would China benefit from that? Oil, maybe. Maybe something else that's part of a wider plan. We'll start on that. Tuck, do your segue. I got to go use the bathroom, and I think I'm going to hit the rest of my cigarette.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I forgot the story I was telling earlier, but anyways, I'm Friar Tuck. If you follow me over on my channel, I'm on YouTube. You can find me, and I talk about homeless education, survival, and policy. And so I got to pick tonight's topic, and part of the reason why I think that all of this stuff is happening because, and I've been doing some research into this, is that right now AI and these AI companies are becoming as powerful as governments themselves. You've got Microsoft and OpenAI with OpenAI, and you've got Claude and all these other ones that are way more powerful than we actually know. And their quest for power, and they're trying to repurpose old nuclear power plants and all these other things so that they can draw direct electricity to themselves. It's a whole process. And I think that, in order to build the infrastructure that they need the right people. And I think that in all of this, part of the whole collapse that we're about to go through, or that we're kind of in the middle of already, is that you need a large enough workforce. Now, we do this every so many years. It's been about a little bit. It's been about 100 years since we last did something like this, and this is what built the post World War boom, because this is a lot of our infrastructure was built on the backs of those that were either poor or homeless or whatever. So you gotta realize, like, that freeway you're driving on, they didn't get, so it wasn't some dude that showed up for a job. They had labor camps, and if they knew that you were poor, they would. So my grandfather, who was a World War II vet, he always made sure that I carried a dollar bill on me at all times, because back in his day, if you didn't have at least a silver dollar in your pocket, you were considered a vagrant, and you would end up at a in a camp. And so, like I said, this is what they did. The CCC camps of the Depression era, same thing. And so the fact that we're going back to it tells you where we're, not only where we're at economically, but the fact that we forgot the lessons of the past. And now we're starting right down that same path.
I'm sorry.
And I think this whole infrastructure thing is a big part of this whole event thing.
Well, I mean, it could be. I mean, I think we should. I think you should broaden and expand. Um, yeah, you, Bardo, you should absolutely get an AI girlfriend on the side and let us know how it goes. Um,
What the fuck?
yeah, huh?
Who's getting an AI girlfriend?
Bardo.
Oh, Vardo?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, hey, we might even we might even crowdsource, one of them real bodies for you.
Oh, yeah, once you can get it into a robot, you just make a flashlight over it.
No, I tried. Well, no, you gotta come with that. But I mean, I tried to get. There was a story that I'd worked on a while back. It's polycarbonate love story. And
Oh, dear God.
yeah, it was fun. A lot of people liked it. Actually, somebody liked it so much they decided to borrow it and turn it into a short little TV series.
Neat.
Yeah, they didn't have my permission to do so though. Which I wouldn't have mind if they asked. I mean, I'm kind of like that. Like, I mean, you ask me, you want to use something, make something, go ahead. That's fine. Just let me know about it.
Well, they technically owe you royalties.
They do. And usually stories pay around a flat $5,000, or they used to. I'd have to do the math again and look.
$5,000 is nothing in the fucking grand production.
I don't know. I mean, but
So they just greedy.
yeah. I mean, normally that's about what it pays. Like, I mean, there was over in Japan and China, I was contacted. They wanted to use like one of the older videos and the storyline and stuff. They were doing this wild conspiracy thing. I mean, like, China's conspiracy theories about us and everything else are wild as hell. The ones Japan does is wild as hell. I mean,
Really?
there's people just like us that are doing this over there now, and I mean, that's to some degree. And then they got the edited and the sanitized versions they talk about, and they can only talk about certain things, but they still talk about a lot.
Yeah, the White Devil.
The White Devil, yeah. Well, actually, the name they use
What is it, Gaijin?
no, yeah, I think that means monkey, white monkey.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just anything. But like I said, we go because right now all this is going on, everything else is going on. Our compass sort of lands toward Strait of Hormuz. And by the way, just today, a little while ago, man, they were lobbing a bunch of missiles at each other. It was crazy.
Well, they took out a couple of boats.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a bunch of stuff going on today. I mean, literally today. So something didn't happen the way they wanted it to.
Well, Iran says it has a nuclear weapon, and
well, they went beyond that. I was saving that for on, but somebody might miss it. The guy that's running the military here, what's his name? The one with the tattoo on his. Anyway.
You talking about Hegseth?
Yeah, Hegseth. He come out. He come out. He said that they now know that they, and I don't know if he's referring to China or Iran, or China sold them to Iran. I don't know what happened, but they had these suitcase nukes basically now.
It's actually being linked back to Russia.
Well, I mean,
Russia is actually where they're getting like the parts and the cake and all that other stuff.
Well, I mean, they used to make them. I mean, they used to make them. Like, I'm sure they modify them to some degree, but they're worried that a bunch of people is going to walk into like malls and stuff and do some bad shit, man. Anyway, just be careful.
Well, you realize the nuclear football's been missing for fucking 3 decades.
Well, one of them, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
I knew about this before it became public.
Now, but like I said, I keep going back to the Strait of Hormuz. The United States has been blockading the strait as part of operations related to Iran. China is the single largest consumer of Iranian oil. The blockade has and was functionally as an economic attack on China's energy supply. So China needed the blockade eased or ended or worked around. And Trump flew to Beijing, which means Trump needed something too. In any negotiation, the person who travels is the person who needs more. Let me say that again. In any negotiation, the person who travels is the person who needs more. That's not commentary. That's just the geometry of leverage. So what did Trump need badly enough to get on a plane? The obvious answers are trade concessions, rare earth supplies guaranteed, help with North Korea, quietly de-escalate around Taiwan. But I want to push past the obvious answers. That's what this is all about. This is what I've been trying to throw out there. We got the static. What they tell us, what we think, what we repeat, what we regurgitate. What pops in your mind is a static. That's the stuff they wanted you to see. That's an old Freemason trick. But because the obvious answers don't require a personal visit. Those can be handled through Treasury secretaries and trade representatives and back channel negotiations that have been running for months. Phone calls, video calls. You fly to Beijing when you need something that can only be given in person. Something that requires a handshake instead of a document. Something that cannot be written down. Here is one possibility that I have seen discussed in mainstream coverage. The United States is in an election cycle. Midterms approaching. The political, environment is volatile. Economy disruption hits the party, the incumbent party, the hardest. A prolonged conflict posturing in the Middle East, combining the trade war with China, combining with inflation. That's a politically toxic.
Ukraine.
Yeah, Ukraine. That's a politically toxic combination. What if the primary asked was stabilization, not a grand strategic bargain, not general realignment? Just help me get through the next 18 months without a crisis that I can't manage politically. In exchange, the Hormuz pressure eases, the tariff language softens, the chip review begins, a short-term arrangement, transactional, deniable. The kind of thing that two pragmatic leaders can agree to in a room and both walk out looking like statesmen, while the architect of everything else continues unchanged.
Oh, hold on, though. Donald Trump came out of that meeting very pissed off.
Well, I didn't say it worked.
Well, yeah, but he was very short with the press and with everybody after it. And you could even tell his attitude, like he was shaking hands with Xi Jinping, but you could tell he wanted to fucking sock him or something.
I think that had to do with Taiwan. I mean, I do. Taiwan and North Korea. Or North Korea. I mean, I think North Korea has like literally cut off all conversations with the United States as far as I know. Now, I mean, I might be wrong.
I don't think we really want anything to do with North Korea because they're helping the Russians, and we'll just take them out with the Russians.
Yeah, there's a lot of mixes in there. There's you have North Korea sending Russia bunches of men that are getting killed left and right. You have I don't know. You got some weird stuff turning around out there, and it doesn't make any sense. I don't know who I would want debating on that. Now, speaking of which, I'll get to that in a minute. When I stop my next go, remind me to tell you about Hunter Biden. All right.
Oh, before we do that, when I was doing my live stream down by the Treasury, did you end up watching any of that?
I wasn't able to. I was running around with the kid.
Oh, dude, I fucking walked past Pete Hegseth, and on camera, I accidentally said an inside thought, and I'm like, look, he looks like more of a douchebag in person. So, I'm not a fan of Hegseth. He's kind of
well. If you wake up with fucking drones over your head, it's your fault. Just throwing that out there,
I
man.
might say hi. What's up, dude?
I'm just throwing that out there. But anyway, like I said, that might be the most alarming scenario. Not a grand betrayal, not a secret deal, just the ordinary political calculation conducted at the highest level, or the interest of two leaders in maintaining their own temporal alignment, and the world bends slightly to accommodate them. And nobody needed to conspire. Nobody needed to plan. The incentives just pointed in the same direction for a moment, and that moment become policy. But now, I want to throw this out there real quick. And like I said about Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden literally walked around the White House smoking crack. He got with underage girls. He got prostitutes. He done all of this stuff. He left a 600 gigabyte, or 600 or 60, I don't know, of porn at a computer store. Was sentenced on gun charges. Was, by all accounts, should have been in prison, but he was pardoned by his father. Now, we've not heard a lot out of him until recently. He's online.
Conflict of interest.
No, I know. Now he is on X. He is online now, talking about things and talking about rehab and knowing things like that. And it's like he's trying to recreate his image so he could run for president.
He's trying to carry on the Biden family name.
Yes, he is. And I mean, all I'm just saying
Yeah, not
is,
gonna work.
if that man becomes president at next time or a couple of years, I mean, in 8 years or whatever,
you know what? He would be in the same fucking boat as Gavin Newsom.
I mean, even if he gets to run as president, then you know that there is absolutely no saving our political system.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't think there's any saving of it anyways
Well, I'm just saying,
your
is
vote don't
if you
count.
see that behavior. Now, I want to talk about the thing that wasn't in the room. Or rather, the thing that was in the room that nobody introduced. Both the United States and China have, in recent years, integrated artificial intelligence in their military command and control systems. Not fully autonomous. Not yet. We're not there yet, officially. Keep in mind, I say officially. But, by all accounts, we are deeply integrated. AI systems that possess battlefield data, battlefield knowledge, that generate target recommendations, that assesses threat probabilities faster than any human analyst can track. The question that nobody in any official capacity will answer directly is, have they talked about it? Have the two countries that are most likely to end up in a military confrontation with each other's established any framework, any protocol for what happens when their AI systems interact or decides to go rogue? When an American AI and a Chinese AI are both processing the same developing situation and both generate recommendations to human decision makers, recommendations that arrive faster than any human can confer with each other, is there any circuit breaker, any hotline for the computers? Now, I spoke earlier about the hotline. The Moscow-Washington hotline, the so-called red phone. Though it was never actually red, it was in the movies, by the way, but I don't know why they did that. I guess to kind of like exemplify it. Was established in 1963 after the Cuban Missile Crisis, demonstrated that two superpowers have no direct communication channel during a crisis. It took 13 days. It took a 13-day confrontation that brought the world to the edge of nuclear war before anyone thought to install a direct line. The hotline has since been used multiple times. It is credited with reducing the risk of an artificial escalation during several crises. If you don't understand, we about got nuked many times. The question is, what is the 2026 equivalent? What is the infrastructure for preventing an accidental AI-driven escalation? And does it exist yet? Or are we still waiting for the Cuban Missile Crisis of machine cognition to happen? Now, I've looked for evidence that this conversation has happened on an official level. There are working groups, there are academic conferences, there are papers who titled Reduce Risk as an AI Nuclear Nexus, published by institutions with serious funding and serious people. There's always serious people. There is no evidence of a bilateral U.S.-China agreement on AI in military contexts. There's no treaty. There's no framework. There's no memorandum of understanding. There is an absence of the thing that should exist and doesn't. In the room in Beijing, with the president and the satellite man and the chip man and the man who runs machines that thinks, was that conversation had? Did anyone say our systems are faster than our diplomacy? Our systems will make decisions before we can talk to each other. We need a protocol for that. And we need it before a situation that requires it. Did anyone say that in that room? I don't know. Nobody knows. That's either reassuring or the most frightening thing I've said tonight, I think. I haven't decided which. Now, I don't know. I mean, we can continue to go into China, and the I don't know. All I can say about that, though, the photograph of the tarmac is real. A president, a satellite man, a chip man descending into a country that is simultaneously our largest trading partner and our most significant competitor, and for the most part, our enemy. But we still work with them. For a summit whose full context we will never know. That's not paranoia. That's the description of the world. The paranoid part is option. The description isn't. Now, we need to talk about. I got to open my other phone. You can go ahead and talk about anything you want to. We're getting ready to shift to the actual event now.
No, you're good, man. I'm just following along with you. I think I'm kind of just I'm following along.
Oh, you're fine. I had to figure out what I did with my friggin' my folder. I had it open and now I don't.
Oh no, you realize that the Cicero Institute is like an AI. It's like the AI Bros think tank. And they're the ones that are writing the homeless legislation. They're sending copy and paste legislation. 22 states are actually in the works of doing what Louisiana and Utah have already done. And so we're talking about infrastructure and stuff like that. You know, I'm still, it's like, I think it's part of the picture. I think the AI companies are going to be prepared for the people to revolt. I think that they're expecting something soon.
Maybe, but it still doesn't make sense to me as to why they would keep pushing it.
Well, 10 years ago, I told you we were going to have a civil war. You would have been like, that doesn't make sense to me. But now you're like, yeah, I can see that.
Well, yeah, we have civil war. I mean, but I mean, everything's got to be thrown in there, and there's got to be these different factors that constitute it and create it. And
they're being created right now.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Make sure that was. And that's what kind of leads us into this. I mean, it really does. There's something wrong with our calendar. I want to start with something small. A number. The number is 1816. That is the year they called the year without a summer. A volcano erupted in April of 1815. Not a big deal, you think. One volcano, Indonesia. But it threw enough ash into the stratosphere to drop global temperatures by 1 to 3 degrees Celsius for the next 2 years. 1 to 3 degrees. That's it. Crops failed across Europe. Famine in Ireland. Riots in England. Tens of thousands dead. Mary Shelley, who was stuck inside during the cold summer, wrote Frankenstein. Brian wrote a poem called Darkness. This is cultural legacy, horror literature, and apocalyptic poetry because of a volcano that nobody planned for in a world with 3 billion fewer people. I'm not here to scare you. I'm not saying we're going to have an eruption that's going to do that to us. I'm here because I think most people have a fundamentally incorrect mental model of how civilizations end. We think it's one thing, one big thing, a war, a bomb, an asteroid. The movies taught us that one event, one cause, before and after. That's not how it works. It's never one thing. It's three things happening at the same time that each individual would have been manageable. But together they create a cascade that nobody planned for, because nobody was looking at all three simultaneously. Tonight we're going to look at all three, or four, or seven, depending on how you count. I've been counting. We're going to talk about World War III, about nuclear weapons, and about infrastructure that keeps them pointed in the right direction, or it doesn't. We're going to talk about what happens to artificial intelligence when the servers go dark, and what happens to us when the AI doesn't go dark. We're going to talk about EMPs, events, and solar flares, and grid collapses, and the specific vulnerabilities of a system you use every single day without knowing how they work. And then we're going to talk about strange things. The things that don't fit the charts. Because every time history fell off a cliff, there was always something strange at the edge of the frame. Something nobody wrote down until years later. Tonight, I'm writing it down. Here's what World War III looks like. If you're waiting for it to look like World War II, you will have already missed it entirely. The paratroopers aren't coming. The tanks aren't rolling. There won't be a declaration. There won't be a moment. There'll be a series of moments that historians will argue about for 50 years. Was it this? Was it that? While the people living through it are just trying to figure out why the internet went down. What we have right here, and I want to be careful because I'm not making predictions. I'm describing the architecture. What we have is a multi-front, low-intensity hybrid conflict that has been running at various temperatures since at least 2014. Ukraine, Taiwan, the South China Sea, the Baltic states, undersea cables, satellite constellations, social media influence networks, critical infrastructure malware, and code that's already sitting inside water treatment facilities and power grids. Systems in multiple countries doing nothing and waiting. Waiting. That's the word that should bother us. There's code waiting to go off, and nothing we can do about it. Now, there's a thing called the rules and handbooks and stuff, but they have one for about everything. And they have one that for gray zone warfare. Gray zone operations are deliberate state-sponsored actions that remain below the threshold of an armed conflict, but exceed the expected norms of peacetime. The goal is to achieve strategic operations without triggering a conventional military response. You win before anyone agrees that a war has started. This is the same tactics that most of the protesters use. Russia calls it hybrid warfare. China calls it unrestricted warfare. That's actually the title of a 1999 military strategic book written by two PLA colonels. They published it. It's been publicly available for 25 years. It describes using the financial system, cyber attacks, terrorism, trade, media, legal mechanisms as weapons, not supplementation to war, but as war. We read it. We just didn't restructure our entire defense architecture around it. We built aircraft carriers. The specific scenario that keeps military planners up all night. And I've read the public version of these documents. They exist. They are not classified. It is a simultaneous, multi-domain attack. Simultaneously. China moves on Taiwan. North Korea conducts something on the peninsula. A cyber attack takes down portions of the eastern seaboard power grid. Iranian proxies conduct attacks on the United States, assets in the Middle East, and Russia makes a move somewhere in the Baltics. All at once, not coordinated, plausible deniability. Each actor claiming independence. But the effect is to overwhelm U.S. decision-making capacities and resources simultaneously. The doctrine has a name in some circles. They call it the anaconda. You don't cut off the head. You constrict everything at once until it can't breathe. I want to be clear about what I'm saying here. I'm not saying that this is going to happen in the next week. I'm saying the architecture, the planning, the scenarios, all of it, according to the papers and other military planners, it exists and it is ready. I'm saying multiple actors have published openly their strategic intent. I'm saying the pieces are on the board. What I want you to think about is not the war itself. It's what happens after the first week. Not the bombs, the aftermath of the bombs. Or the aftermath of no bombs, which might be worse. Now, in 1983, a Soviet lieutenant was on duty at a nuclear early warning facility in a name I can't say. When the system alerted incoming missiles, American ICBMs, 5 of them, he had about 9 minutes. The protocol was clear. The system was supposed to be reliable. 5 incoming missiles. That's the first strike. You report it, chain of command takes it from there. He didn't report it. He sat there for 9 minutes and decided, based on a hunch, based on reasoning about why a first strike would only be 5 missiles and not hundreds. And he decided it was a false alarm. He was right. It was a satellite glitch. Sunlight reflecting off clouds over Montana had been interrupted had been interpreted as missile plumes. He was acting against the protocol, preventing a nuclear exchange. Now, he was reprimanded for not following procedure. He was supposed to launch those missiles anyway. Keep that in mind. He got a false warning. The Soviets said, if you see anything, it doesn't matter, to launch those missiles. There are several versions of this story in the historical record. There are others. 1995, a Norwegian weather rocket. 1979, a training tape accidentally loaded into an early warning system showing an all-out Soviet strike. In 1983, during NATO's Able Archer exercise, Soviet leadership became generally convinced the exercise was a cover for a real first strike. They went to elevated readiness. We didn't know about that until years later. The point is not the system failed. The point is that the system worked exactly as it was designed, and a human being overrode it. And in every case where catastrophe was averted, it was one person in one room making a judgment call. Now ask yourself what happens when those judgment calls are made by systems that don't sleep, that don't have hunches, that don't have 26 years of experience. They just make a decision. There are currently 9 nuclear-armed states, 9. The United States and Russia account for 90% of all the warheads. Somewhere between 12 and 13,000 total. Did you know the United States still uses floppy disk?
Did not.
Well, or until very recently, anyway. In parts of its nuclear command and control infrastructure. This is not a conspiracy theory. This was reported in a Government Accountability Office report. The logic was that old systems are harder to hack, which is true. But old systems also fail in ways that new systems don't. The infrastructure for ending civilization was designed in an era when the most dangerous thing on the internet was a dancing baby GIF. I'm not suggesting the system is broken. I am suggesting the system is old, patched, layered, and managed by human beings operating under various levels of stress, political pressures, and in some cases, altered states. Now, in 2013, an Air Force investigation found that 17 officers responsible for nuclear missiles at a Montana base was implicated in a cheating scandal, a proficiency test. In 2014, 92 officers were suspended. These were the people with the keys. I want to be fair. Every system has human failures. Every institution has scandals. This doesn't mean the system is about to fail, but it means the margin of error is not as wide as the official confidence would suggest. And when the margin of error involves objects that can vaporize cities, the math gets very uncomfortable. Now, I gotta go pee.
Oh man, cliffhanger.
Yeah. You go ahead and do it. Do another segue. We've almost been in. So.
No. Sam, get your butt back here. Come on. You better not. Get over here now. Come on. Yeah, as soon as I'm supposed to be on public, here she goes. She's actually known for this. Samantha Marie, 1, come over here now. 2, get back here. Come on. Kick it down. Good girl. All right. So, anyways, I'm Friar Tuck. I'm a nomad. You guys know who I am. Yeah, as I was talking about earlier, well, I kind of already said my piece, but anyways, I hope you guys are having a good night. It's been a long day for me. I actually forced myself to take a day off from my channel today. It's kind of nice. Sam and I went to the dog park. She got to play with a couple of dogs. Then I took her down along this trail that's next to a little bit of a river. She went and took a dunk. It was 93 degrees today, so her getting in there, that was really good. And then, yeah, we just kind of went out and about. Went grabbed lunch and then came back to the campsite and said, "Fuck it, it's too hot. We're not moving." So we've been stocking up on water and supplies, so we were able to come back, and I didn't have to, because normally I have like a 6 liter bladder, and I didn't actually have to use that today. So, and I didn't have to use it yesterday either. Fuck, dude, I had like 2 Gatorades and a whole like fucking 2 gallons of water pretty much given to me yesterday. Mm. Oh, so something about the Aurora Borealis was on about last night. I think it happened last night. I only made it to like central Pennsylvania or something like that, but I think there's supposed to be something tonight too. You guys might want to check that. There's supposed to be something celestial tonight, I think. So either that or it was just last night and I missed it because I was asleep. At midnight, I wasn't going to be up at midnight. Hell no, man. When you're in my lifestyle, as soon as the sun goes down, you're ready to go to bed. Or at least once it cools down after the sun goes down. But I need to figure out a way to get me a haircut. It's so damn hot, like 93 degrees with thick ass hair. Even in the shade with a nice breeze, it's like you're like, hey, I can fry an egg on my belly or some shit, kind of like they did in Hot Shots. So, but anyways, guys, I'm usually not used to doing this much talking during the show. Usually I'm back and forth, so I'm not really. My mindset really isn't in the solo talk right now. So I do apologize to some of you guys who are used to the rhythm.
You're fine. I had to. We for some reason it seems like tonight there's a lot going on out there. The neighbors are having a party. There's one of the boys, he was on his four-wheeler, not four-wheeler, he's on a go-kart, and he flipped it, and earlier, that's when they thought he broke a leg, and there's medical helicopters flying over, and I'm not sure what holiday it is, but something's going on.
It's not a holiday.
It might be a birthday. But anyway, here is something that bugs a lot of us. A lot of us. On September 1st, 1859, a British astronomer named Richard Carrington observed something on the surface of the sun that no one has seen before. 2 massive white flares blasting from a sunspot cluster. 17 hours later, the northern lights were visible in Cuba, in Colombia, and in Hawaii. The telegraph system across North America and Europe, the internet of the 1859s, begun to malfunction. Some operators unplugged their batteries because the aurora induced enough current and was powerful enough to run the telegraph on its own. Others caught fire. What Carrington had observed was a corona mass ejection, a billion-ton cloud of magnetized plasm launched from the sun at several million miles per hour. The event happened today, same magnitude, same trajectory. We would lose the grid, not parts of it, most of it. The transformers that manage high voltage transmissions, the big ones, the ones that take years to manufacture, most of which are made overseas, they would be fried, not damaged, destroyed. And we don't have spares of them. FEMA's own estimates of a Carrington level event suggest 18 months to 3 years before full power restoration. A 2013 Lloyd's of London risk assessment put the economic damage between 0.6 and $2.6 trillion in the United States alone. The Department of Homeland Security has classified this as a top-tier national security risk since at least 2012. But for some reason, we have not hardened our grid. Why not? Well,
I thought we had.
no. The utility companies argue it's too expensive. The government argues jurisdiction is unclear. The academic communities produce increasingly alarming reports, and the transformers remain soft targets setting in open fields, unhardened, connected to the most complex and interdependent infrastructure system in human history. Now, we should stay on that for a moment, I guess, because the solar weather risk connects to something else, an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, which has the same basic effect on electronics as a keratin level event, but can be directed artificially. A nuclear detonation at high altitude, one warhead, no cities is directly destroyed. But the electromagnetic pulse travels across a wide radius and fries unshielded electronics. One device detonated at the right altitude over the center of the continental United States could, according to testimony before Congress in 2008 by an EMP commission, potentially killed up to 90% of the American population within a year. Not from a blast, from what happens afterward, when the systems that keep people alive stop working. Water treatment.
Glenn Beck talks about this. There's a book about this.
I don't doubt it. This is one of the ones that take out everything, take us all out. Well, most of us, all but 10% of us. Water treatment plants run on electricity. Hospitals run on electricity. The pumps that move fuel to gas stations run on electricity. The supply chain for food, the refrigeration, the logistics, the communication, all of it runs on electricity.
Yeah.
We have built the most comfortable, well-provisioned civilization in human history on a foundation that can be disrupted by weather. The sun has always done this, but we built it anyway.
Just like hurricanes keep coming through, but yet we rebuild it anyways.
Someday though, it's happened before. We're not going to get that lucky.
Yeah.
Now,
40% of the South's GDP or whatever is the rebuilding after fucking hurricanes and tornadoes.
Oh, I know. I mean, I was like I said, I was down for Katrina. I was a first responder there. I was in parts of Florida as well. When all that stuff was going on, I went back down after. When all that stuff was going on, man, it was crazy. I remember driving through Louisiana. I've been driving through New Orleans on the backside. They have a bunch of apartments, or buildings. They used to have a bunch of apartments there. And those massive ones. And seeing everything that was in those apartments and things laying on the ground and all that rubble. It was just mentally unstable and horrifying.
Well, they've been trying to depopulate it, but people still won't fucking stop coming back.
I know. But people like that area. They do. They love that place. I mean, I like it too. But I mean, I'm just saying
It has a lot of history.
It does. But we're talking about that. We're also talking about those things. So I guess we might as well go ahead and talk about. There's a machine that doesn't need the lights. Now I want to talk to you about artificial intelligence. And I want to try to do this without the hype, without the doom cult framing, without the tech bro optimism. I want to talk to you about the infrastructure problem. The AI systems that matter right now, the large language models, the recommendation engines, the logic optimizers, all of them run on data centers. Physical buildings full of servers, consuming enormous amounts of power and water for cooling. The numbers here are staggering. a single large AI training runs can consume as much as electricity as hundreds of homes use in a year. The AI build-out currently underway, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, and the others are spending hundreds of billions of dollars on data center infrastructure. It is projected to require something like 8% of the total U.S. electricity generation for 2030. Much higher after.
Actually, I've heard it's even higher than that. They're like 30%.
This is the official statement. This is what they put on paper. So that's what I stuck here, so no one can knock me for it. 8% of the grid for AI. Like I said, this isn't speculation. This is from the utility company's own filings. So we have built the critical infrastructure systems that now underpin finance, logistics, medicine, military operations on hardware that requires continuous power, continuous cooling, and continuous connectivity.
But how do we build it? How do we get the labor force?
Well, some of this is already built. Most of this is already built.
But a lot of it still needs
Yeah,
to be
but
built.
we like I said, I think that's done. Whatever we get there to do that doesn't matter. It's going to happen. You know, like I said. But because if that's not taken care of and everything else, that becomes a vulnerability of the grid, and that's not considered a vulnerability of the grid right now. There's no one actively saying that is work power. People building these things is an issue. Now, when they do, that will be a vulnerability of the grid, but I think we're past that.
Well, they're not even able to build any more data centers. They're actually slowing and stopping a lot of the data centers because there's just not enough power, and there's a lot of pushback from the states now.
Well, you see what the official thing is, but there's no stopping. I live in Virginia. We have data centers going up everywhere. They just dropped lines of fiber. They're getting ready to put data centers out in a little small part away from me called Grayson County. They just built a 190-acre AI data center. These things are going up everywhere. People are just not going to talk about them. Things are just going to continue going along the way, and they're building nuclear reactors.
Well, the thing is, there's actually being pushed back on building the nuclear reactors. Unless there's something that's happened in the last few days, apparently that's kind of why they're starting to scrap a lot of these projects, is because they're every time they keep trying to find their own power source, the government comes in and goes, well, no, that's our power. You can't take it.
I mean, from statistically, these places are not stopping. These places are still building these infrastructures. These places are turning back on things like 3 Mile Island and everything else. They have no issues. They will build them, design them. The things will go up. Anyone that thinks that the states is going to have much of a say so in this, or the people is going to have much of a say so in this, doesn't see what is actually going on. Well, they have literally stopped telling people they're building them and building them anyway. BlackRock is now building them underground in places. So I mean, they're not stopping.
Well, they got so much money to throw around that, like the Cicero Institute, which is their think tank, has been writing all the homeless laws, and including the forced commitment shit and the redefining of the laws. They're the ones that are behind all of that. That's why I keep saying they need the labor force for the infrastructure, and they're just gonna take it. They're not gonna even pay for it. They're just gonna take it.
Maybe.
And they have enough power.
Maybe they don't have to.
I
don't. Like I said, when that materializes, we'll see. But I don't think that's exactly how that's going to go. I just don't see it. I don't see. Yeah, but the people that you're talking about being used as labor force don't have the skill sets to do what they need to do. The mass skill sets. It's just not
unless you have an economic downturn where like in 2008, if you were like a plumber or electrician, they required a year up front because so many of them were going out because the fucking housing market was crashing. So now all of a sudden you've got these people, if they get to a certain point, they start getting on government benefits, then it becomes the CCC camps all over again.
Well, that can round them up, put them in there, I guess. But I mean, that's going over the states and everything.
Well, no,
we're deviating from the vulnerabilities. Here's the thing that really interests me about the infrastructure vulnerabilities. And see, we're talking about documented things that can be accounted for, can be argued that is happening currently. We're not just using AI as a tool in specific domains. We have allowed AI to become a decision maker, trading new accounts for vast variety of stock markets and volume. AI systems are in the loop, and in some cases autonomous. The threat detection, logistics routing, credit scoring, parole recommendations, and medical diagnosis support, credit card authorizations, and credit card decision makings. Loan. Like a buddy of mine went to go take out a loan, and he had to get AI approved. That's wild. We're moving fast, and we have been integrated deeply. We are discovering, not as a thought experiment, but in practice, that these systems fail in ways that designers didn't predict. They hallucinate. They inherit the bias of the training data. They optimize for the metric they were given, not the outcome that you actually wanted. And they fail silently too. Or they fail confidently. The confident failure is a dangerous one. In aviation, there's a concept called automation compliancy. Pilots who rely heavy on autopilot that lose the proficiency in manual flight. And when the automation fails, they're not equipped to handle a situation. Several major crashes have been attributed to this dynamic, including Air Force France, 447, and 09. The pilots could have not comprehended the aircraft was doing manually after the autopilot disconnected in turbulence. The aircraft stalled and 228 people died. That doesn't make me want to fly in planes anymore. Okay. Now, wait a minute. Okay. Now think about this across an entire civilization decision-making infrastructure. We are in the early stages of building systems that we will depend on entirely, and then forget how to do without. When the grid goes down, the AI goes down. And then we discover we've forgotten how to do things the AI was doing. This is not science fiction scenario. This is a system engineering problem with a known failure mode that we are actively constructing. There's a second AI problem, and it runs in the other direction. The AI that doesn't go down. The military AI, the surveillance infrastructure, the system that has been built in China, in the United States, in Russia, and in smaller states to track, identify, and in some applications, target lethal autonomous weapon systems. They are not science fiction. They exist. Drones with onboard targeting software that don't require human trigger pulls. The United States has seen them. Others have them. The legal and ethical framework for their use are, well, unsettling. Tuck's seen it. He may not have realized it. You remember when you said you saw those drones flying over and all over the place?
Yeah.
Those were autonomous.
Yes.
I'm aware, like, yeah, they put anything they can slap AI in, they're doing it.
So they knew where you were and where you are. Anyway. Now these systems don't need the civilian grid. These systems have their own power, their own communications, and their own objectives. The infrastructure where civilian infrastructure has collapsed, where the lights are out, the internet goes down, the hospitals are running on generators, the military AI keeps going, which raises a question I don't have an answer to. In a world where only the weapons still work, what does that world look like?
Dystopia. I mean, it's a cross between either Maze Runner, Hunger Games, or Divergent. And I think we're going more towards fucking like a hybrid of all three, because with the contention that's going on between the three superpowers, you could definitely see something like Maze Runner. But with the way that the West is falling apart, you could definitely see Divergent, and then just the way that global conflict is going, you could easily see Hunger Games.
I'm glad you're starting to see the world I'm trying to create here, that I'm imagining through.
I've seen this for a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's where we are when we agree. Now, remember in the beginning I said there would be some strange stuff. I said there's always strange things at the edge of the frame. So, okay, I promise you strange things. Even major historical collapses have a list of documented anomalies, things that the observer at the time recorded and didn't know what to do with or what they were. Before the fall of the Western Roman Empire, there were documented mass bird die-offs in several provinces, reports of unusual weather patterns going back decades, epidemics, plagues, the plague of Cyprian.
Justinian plague.
Yeah. The modern researchers have suggested it may have been amplified by climate shifts caused by volcanic activity in Iceland or elsewhere. Before the Bronze Age collapse, arguably the most civilization failure in recorded history, around 1200 BCE, were within 50 years. The Greeks, the Hittites, the Egyptians, all collapsed or was severely contracted. There were records of droughts, migrations of the so-called sea people, of earthquake swarms. To me and you, that's Atlantis. No single cause, a cascade, something, climate plague, migrations, seismic activities, pushed interconnected systems past their tolerance simultaneously. At the Bronze Age collapse happened to civilizations that were trading partners, that had diplomatic relationships, that had managed to coexist for centuries. Does that sound familiar? Here is what is at the edge of our frame right now. Antibiotic resistance. The CDC.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. The CDC has designed this as a crisis level public health threat. We are approaching a world in which common infections become untreatable again. Surgery becomes dangerous again. Not because we didn't know that this was coming. We've known since the 1940s that overuse of antibiotics would accelerate this. And we did it anyway, because the incentives pointed that way. The next thing is fresh water. aquifers across the world are being drawn down faster than they can recharge. The aquifer that underlies most of the American Great Plains, the architectural heartland, is being depleted at a rate that will make parts of it essentially unusable within decades. Most of that is due to AI. The crops that feed large portions of the country depend on groundwater that is finite. And keep in mind, they would rather use that groundwater to cool and power AI than put food on your table.
Because it puts food on their table instead.
Yeah. The other thing is soil. The topsoil that took thousands of years to develop is eroding. Industrial agriculture has degraded roughly a third of the world's usable land in the last 40 years. We are eating the seed corn. This is not fringe claims. Some say we might be running out of oil. These are peer-reviewed, government-documented, monitored trends. They are moving slowly enough that that they don't feel like emergencies. Most of us don't even think about them. Most of us don't even care about them until it happens. If we think really hard, there's been stories and rumors that there will be water wars. We've seen this in other cultures. India and the country beside them, can't remember for some reason.
Burma?
No, no one. Starts with P though. I mean, they're the ones that just got into it. But anyway, it was basically over water. They both have nukes.
China too. Them and China are having problems with the water rights too. That's part of their border dispute.
Yeah, that's the Great Water Wars, and then we'll have that in the United States, if not sooner.
Oh yeah, well we've been doing this for decades, and now all of a sudden, people are like, I don't care, I'm not going to be around for it. Well, yeah, now you suck the rest of us with your fucking greed.
Now, the strange things are stranger than that. Stranger than the soul, and stranger than the water. And I'm going to try to be careful here. There is a documented, peer-reviewed phenomenon reported in the journal literature, investigated by a government agency, even named by President Trump. And it's what researchers are calling the Havana Syndrome. Targeted individuals, primarily U.S. government personnel, experiencing sudden onset neurological symptoms, sounds, pressure sensations, cognitive effects. The National Academies of Science in 2020 concluded that direct pulsed radio frequency energy was the most plausible explanation. Directed pulsed radio frequency I can't talk. Energy. A weapon that leaves no physical evidence, targets individuals, and affects the brain. Used repeatedly against American personnel. And then largely the story went away until Venezuela. I am not drawing a direct line between Havana Syndrome and the civilization collapse here. I am noting that is one data point in a collection of data points that suggests the world contains things you do not know about. Weapons you do not know about. Brain control you do not know about. If tomorrow some country were to flip a switch and make everybody go crazy, or make some of us go crazy, they might be able to. China has claimed that ability. And this threat and all of this equipment, if they have stuff, if the UFOs and stuff they're seeing are man-made, then somebody somewhere has capabilities that we don't have. And that bothers me a lot for some reason. Now, what else is in this category? We don't fully know, and I think that's the point, guys. Now, we spoke about it. You know, who builds a bunker?
Somebody concerned for their future.
That's right. And billionaires are building bunkers, multi-dollar ones. Like I said in the, was it yesterday's? Or was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yesterday's. But yeah, I go into a whole thing about bunkers and stuff last episode, I think. But you know, you need to understand that. You need to get that. These people building these bunkers, Sam Altman, Musk, and these other ones, they're building them for reasons. There's a reason they're digging, and there's a reason they want someplace to go, and they think that something is coming. I don't tell you this because I want you to panic. I tell you this because I think there's information embedded in the behavior of people who have better information than us. And the information is something is wrong with the trajectory. Something is wrong with our timeline. Not necessarily the collapse is coming, but that the people who think hard enough about these things for a living have concluded that there's a probability it's non-trivial enough to act on it personally. They're just not telling us. They are the architects. And they're telling their architects. Now, I want to put it all together for you, or try to. Not a prediction, but the architecture. We have geopolitical environment with multiple great powers and active strategic competitions, regional conflicts with elevated temperatures and hybrid warfare. Ongoing against critical infrastructures in multiple countries. We have nuclear weapons postured in which thousands of warheads remain a hair trigger away. We have a power grid that can go out at any time, either by a country that hates us or the sun. We have AI infrastructure that's been integrated into critical decision making. I guess the robots are taking our jobs. We have antibiotic resistance. And we have a class of highly informed individuals who are privately preparing for a disruption while publicly advocating for systems they are creating.
And not only that, like I think like 80% of the code that's being written right now is AI doing its own self-improving. The programmer doesn't have to do shit anymore.
And I hate to say this about, I agree, and I hate to say this about the event, but the event, whatever it is,
AI.
if it comes, it probably will not be an asteroid. It'll be a Tuesday. A Tuesday where 3 or 4 of these systems hit the tolerance limit. And the people who are supposed to respond will discover that the responses, the infrastructure demands of these systems have just failed. And the backups depends on the systems and the backups depends on. And somewhere, a satellite glitch, and the satellite man knows. And someone has 9 minutes. Just not us. Now, in the past, I've had people who ask me what to do with the information that I've been talking about. And I'll tell you what I actually think, rather than sound reassuring. I don't think you can prevent any of this individually. I say it over and over again. I stick by it.
We're all fucked.
I don't think moving to a farm and stockpiling beans changes the geopolitical posture of a nuclear armed state. I don't think going off grid stops the water from depleting. But I think there's something important in knowing. Because knowing so you can panic, knowing so you can see it clearly when it comes. That's my point. We need to know why. We need to see why. We need to see what is coming. When the dominoes start falling, we need to watch the dominoes fall. When Yellowstone blows up, we need to watch Yellowstone blow up. They're like, oh yeah, I knew that this was going to happen. Because if we panic, we can't make decisions. Everything that will happen, everything that they might be talking about, we'll get in little bits of information, little bits and pieces. Like today, NASA just pops up and says, well, we were able to take the clearest picture of a planet outside of our solar system. A new one that we didn't know was there. The EMP Commission testified before Congress. The water data was published by the USGS. Yeah. The nuclear misfilings have been declassified. You can read all about them. The AI energy consumption is in utility filings. The bunkers, the elite building the bunkers is in magazines. On Facebook. It's all available. It's all documented. Sadly, we all just don't look at it at the same time or in the same way. We're not built for that. We're built for the immediate, the local, the personal, which is exactly the cognitive profile that a cascade exploits. So here's what I actually think. I think the most dangerous thing in the world right now is the assumption that because it hasn't happened yet, it won't. I think the second most dangerous thing is assuming someone is managing this. That there's a room somewhere with serious people and good data, with an authority, or ever would be, and there will be a coordinated prevent of the cascade. Maybe there is. I hope there is. But I've read enough of these documents. I've seen enough movies. I've talked to enough people to know. From those rooms to know, people in them are often as uncertain and underfunded and politically constrained as the human everyone else sees. And the other ones don't care. They're not gods or people in rooms. People who will make bad decisions when the time comes. I'm not trying to take something from you tonight. I'm trying to give you something, which is this. The world has always been this close. We've always been a second to midnight, it seems like. And it has always required individual human beings in specific moments to hold. They usually have. The question is whether we build a world that makes it better or not. Now, me and Tuck will probably go on and talk about more of the event at some point. But the point of this, there are viruses coming, there's wars on the horizon, there's supernatural events that you can't even ponder. I'm not saying that there's a religious frame to this. I'm just saying it is what it is. It's the event. What happens after the event? Hopefully, we reset and things change.
Hopefully, but I don't think so. I think we'll hit our digital utopia as long as you drink the Kool-Aid. And you know what? You'll be so grateful to have whatever that you'll just take whatever. Just like they did to us during the Great Depression. There was no such thing as social safety nets. You are considered a citizen of your state. But in order to get these benefits, you had to give up your state citizenship and become a U.S. citizen. Now everybody's a U.S. citizen, which is a second-class citizen. And this is how they got us to willfully go and give up our birthright. And so the same thing is happening again and again and again. They just figured out a new way to take something more from us.
I mean, humans are a resource.
Yeah, that's why they have the Human Resource Department.
Yep. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are done with tonight's show. Tuck sounds like he needs to go to bed, and I have some work I have to finish. So, we will see you guys back here tomorrow. Same bat channel and same bat time.
Same bad channel, same bad time. See you tomorrow.
Stay paranoid, my friends.